There's something on your rose cane, and before you've even decided anything, your hand is already moving toward it. Small. 1/3 of an inch, maybe less. Blue-black, almost charcoal, with little splashes of orange laid down its back, like someone flicked warning paint at it. It has bristles, actual spines, and it's humped and segmented. And it crawls with this low, deliberate purpose, like it has somewhere to be. Somebody once said this shape looks like a tiny alligator, and once you've heard that, you can't unsee it. So your thumb already knows what it wants to do. Flick it off. Wipe it away. Whatever it is, it doesn't belong on your flowers. Stop there. Don't finish the motion. Kneel down. The real story starts lower than you're looking, because here's what happened the last time a whole room of people met this exact creature. An extension class run by the University of Florida, not nervous beginners, but professionals. People who handle pests for a living were shown a photograph of this little alligator and asked what they'd do about it. Nearly every person in the room said the same thing: spray it. Out of all of them, exactly one hesitated. One. So, if your thumb was already moving, you're in good company. You're just an audience that arrived a little late to a story that has been unfolding on this cane the whole time in a costume you don't recognize yet. Let's stay down here and actually look at it. Look at the legs, 6 of them, up front, busy. Look at the spines. Look at that orange, set into the black in careful little patches. None of it is decoration. A study published in Scientific Reports in 2020 was asking why an animal would wear colors this loud, and the answer is simple. Loud is the whole point. The spines and the bright paint are a sign, held up to anything that might think about eating it. And it isn't bluffing. Press this creature, and it does something almost unbelievable. It bleeds on purpose, weeping a little fluid from the seams of its own body, bitter with compounds that birds and ants learn, after one taste, to never try again. So this is no pest cowering on your rose. It's armored. It's chemical. It is completely sure of itself. Watch it move. It isn't running from anything. It's hunting. Watch it reach an aphid. It doesn't pounce so much as arrive. It closes the distance, takes hold, and the soft green thing simply goes. No drama. Just a small, certain predator doing the one thing this chapter of its life knows how to do. This is an animal in the middle of its hungriest days, and you nearly ended it for the single crime of being unfamiliar. Now, here's the curtain lift. This thing is a ladybug, not a cousin of one, not something that eats them or lives near them. The very same animal. The University of Florida and the University of Minnesota will both tell you plainly, the black alligator on your cane and the round red beetle from every child's drawing are one species, wearing 2 completely different bodies. The red dome with the polka dots, the one everyone adores, the one that lands on your finger and gets a wish made on it. That's the last page. That's the only photo anyone has ever bothered to take of this animal. The alligator is chapter 1. The chapter nobody reads. Put them side by side, and your eye refuses to connect them. One is long, dark, and spiked, built low and fast for the hunt. The other is a smooth red dome you could balance on a fingertip. Nothing about the 2 shapes rhymes. And yet, there is only one animal here. The thread between them is buried inside, in time, in a transformation so total that the 2 ends of it look like strangers. And the distance between those 2 bodies, that gap, is one of the strangest things happening anywhere in your garden. It even has a name: complete metamorphosis. Most people have heard the word. Almost nobody has knelt down to watch what it actually means, because the middle of this story is wilder than either end. The little alligator doesn't simply grow the way a puppy becomes a dog. It grows in jumps. 4 times. It splits its own skin down the back and climbs out larger than before 4 costumes, one after another. A costume change between each act, and the whole time it eats. A single one of these larvae will work through somewhere around 350 to 400 aphids before it's finished. The entomologist, Whitney Cranshaw, put a number on the appetite. At its peak, this stage out-eats the famous red adult many times over. Sit with that for a second. The form you didn't recognize, the one you almost flicked into the dirt, is the hungriest this animal will ever be. It is not a baby in any soft, helpless sense. It is the appetite at the center of the whole story. And then, once it has eaten enough, it does the thing that should not be possible. It stops. It anchors itself to the underside of a leaf, and goes still a little painted case, easy to mistake for a scab on the stem or a fleck of bird mess. And inside that quiet case, it begins to take its own body apart. If you've ever scraped one of these little cases off a leaf, thinking it was a blemish on the plant, you weren't careless. You simply didn't know you were holding a stage between two lives. I want to be precise here, because it's tempting to imagine it's just resting in there. It is not. Researchers studying this in a ladybug called Chalomenes sexmaculata, in work shared in 2023, describe the inside of that case, the way the biology truly runs. Most of the larval body is broken down, dismantled into a kind of living soup, and then built back up into something new. Wings it never had. Eyes it never had. An entirely different body. The animal that crawled in does not crawl out. It is taken apart and written again. That is the costume change you never see. By the time the red beetle eases open on top of the leaf, soft and pale for an hour before its color comes flooding in, the alligator is gone. Not grown up. Gone and replaced by the same single life. Think about how rarely anyone is in the right place at the right moment to see it. The hunting happens over days, low on a stem. The dissolving happens sealed inside a case the size of a grain of rice. We almost only ever meet the final form, which is exactly why we mistake the final form for the entire animal. So, the next time a ladybug lands on your finger and you make your wish, understand what you're holding. A creature that already lived an entire life you weren't there for. It was already a hunter. It already dissolved. It already came back. You caught the encore, and you called it the whole show. Now lift your eyes off this one cane for a moment, because there's a turn even down here in the small world. You might be thinking, fine, from now on, I'll watch for the little alligator. But not every one of these animals wears that costume. There's a whole branch of the family whose young look like nothing of the sort. A 2021 study on a tiny ladybug called Simnus nubilis describes larvae that coat themselves in soft white waxy threads until they look like drifting tufts of lint, so convincingly that they pass for the very prey they're stalking. Same family. Same trick of living a hidden life before the famous form arrives. A completely different first chapter, which means the world under the leaves near you is far fuller than you thought. Some of these stories crawl around as armored alligators. Some drift past as little puffs of white. Not one of them looks like the ending you'd recognize. Every one of them is wearing a face you would never set beside the red dome you already love. And here's the part I want to set down gently. Go back to your hand, still hovering over the cane. Nothing about the scene has changed since we knelt down the thumb, the alligator, the half-finished flick. The only thing that's different now is you. You can see it. You know that what's under your hand isn't an intruder at all. It's a prologue, written under a leaf. Weeks before the red beetle, you'd have happily welcomed the whole astonishing middle of a life. The armor, the 4 costumes, the dissolving and the rebuilding was always going to happen right here on this plant, whether or not you ever noticed. It just would have happened without you, if your thumb had finished the motion, so draw your hand back. Not because the larva needs saving, it doesn't. It was managing its whole strange life long before you ever knelt down. Draw back. Because you'd be quietly erasing chapter 1 of something you already love, and you'd never even know you'd done it. Here's the only homework I'll ever give you. Next time you're out among your plants, get down low, really down, knees in the soil, and turn over a single leaf. Just one. Look for the alligator, or the drifting fluff, or a small anchored case that's quietly taking a body apart and writing a new one. And when you find something you've been walking past all this time, come back and tell me what it was. I mean it. I want to know. I always want to know what the late arrivals finally saw. The story was never up where you were looking. It was down here the whole time. You just had to kneel,